While American politicians and the media focus on China's anti-competitive practices, similar practices in Japan go largely unnoticed. American auto manufacturers have long suffered from Japanese protectionism, and more recently, U.S. tech and gaming companies have become targets. A classic example of this protectionism is Sony and its PlayStation video game console, which controls more than 95% of the Japanese market for high-end consoles. The Japan Fair Trade Commission turns a blind eye as Sony violates Japan's antitrust laws with its aggressive efforts to stifle competition from its main competitor in the market, Microsoft, and its Xbox console and subscription service. For example, Sony rewards game publishers for not distributing their games through Xbox. While that goes unpunished, the JFTC aggressively investigates American companies. Meanwhile, the Federal Trade Commission, America's competition regulator, along with the Justice Department, is effectively aiding Sony's monopolization of the Japanese market by trying to block a merger that would help Microsoft compete in the gaming industry. In December, the FTC filed a complaint seeking to prevent Microsoft from acquiring Activision, a publisher of video games, most famously Call of Duty. The FTC alleges that the deal will increase Microsoft's already considerable power in video games, such that Microsoft would have the ability and increased incentive to withhold or degrade Activision gaming content in ways that substantially lessen competition. The FTC is primarily concerned that Microsoft would use Call of Duty to attract gamers away from competitors and to Xbox. Never mind that Sony's PlayStation controls about 70% of the worldwide and nearly 60% of the American market for high-end gaming consoles, the market segment the FTC's complaint focuses on. In reality, the proposed merger would increase competition in the gaming industry by allowing Xbox to challenge Sony's dominance. Consider the juxtaposition. While the JFTC overlooks Sony's long-entrenched monopoly in Japan, the FTC is going after a merger whose only threat to competition is purely speculative. One factor behind the FTC's misguided efforts is Sony's aggressive lobbying of the FTC, as well as European antitrust regulators, suggesting worst-case scenarios to justify regulatory intervention in the Activision deal. So focused is Sony on stifling competition from Xbox that it has refused Microsoft's offer of a deal that would allay the FTC's concerns about Microsoft withholding or degrading Call of Duty. The 10-year deal would give Sony more favorable access to Call of Duty on PlayStation than it currently enjoys. Similar deals to ensure post-merger access to Activision games have already been accepted by Nvidia and Boosteroid, which offer cloud gaming services, and Nintendo, maker of the Switch gaming console. Common sense alone ensures that Microsoft won't use control of Activision games to deny or degrade access on the PlayStation. The failure of that logic to deter the FTC lends support to the suspicion that its attempt to block the deal is more of an ideological crusade than it is the result of an objective investigation. Suspicion is inevitable given that Lina Khan, the woman President Biden chose to lead the FTC, has openly expressed hostility to our nation's largest tech companies, of which Microsoft is one. That hostility was evident in the FTC's failed attempt to block the acquisition of Within Unlimited, a virtual reality startup by Meta, the parent company of Facebook. The FTC dropped the case last month after a federal judge rebuffed its efforts to enjoin the merger, despite the deference courts ordinarily show to executive agencies. Said the Wall Street Journal, the federal court's decision appears to vindicate claims that the FTC overreached by bringing a flawed antitrust case. The case is also widely seen as emblematic of FTC Chair Lina Khan's opposition to the expansion of big technology companies. It may be fashionable in many circles to bash Facebook, Microsoft, and America's other tech giants, but they employ hundreds and thousands of Americans and provide much of the technological innovation that benefits American consumers. And the rest of it, I'm just going to leave to you guys to read. It's just a tiny bit more, but it more gets into the political side of this whole thing, and it kind of makes it look like, you know, it's a Biden problem, when the truth of the matter is that this thing with Japan has been a problem for an extremely long time. In fact, look, if you've ever been to Japan, you know how protectionist the Japanese government is of certain companies. I'll give you an example that you can see if you've ever been there, or if you ever go there, maybe you can pay attention to it. If you go to Japan, you would be lucky if you could walk into 3 skyscrapers right next to each other, and every single sink and toilet in those buildings isn't provided by a company called Toto. Now, I'm well familiar with Toto because of the industry that I'm in. I've actually, rubbed shoulders with Toto before. And it's not just Toto, but I'm just using them as an example because if you've ever been, or if you ever go, you can see, if you look at the sink, the brand on it is Toto. Look at the toilet, the brand on it is Toto. And they make other products, you can see that the brand is toto. So this is nothing new, and I'm certainly not trying to protect the Biden administration. There are a long line of administrations that engage in imperialism, and many of you may know, I may have mentioned it, that I'm anti-war and I'm anti-imperialism. So this is not about trying to protect Biden, or I refuse to read the rest of the article because it's about Biden. It's just, this is a larger problem than just one administration. But hey, look guys, if you enjoyed the information, if you enjoyed the article, if you enjoyed the video, like the video and subscribe to the channel. But hey guys, until next time, stay safe.